Verse fields are finally here in Fortnite Creative and UEFN, and basically they allow you to create your own verse variables that you can use inside UMG widgets, basically dynamically change any UI you want through verse. This is one of the biggest quality of life improvements for UI in a long time. This will also just open up the floodgates for a lot of cool stuff. This supports all different types like ints, floats, strings, messages, booleans, and also even textures and materials, and you can just dynamically change all of those through verse, and eventually soon you'll be able to do it with buttons and other things like that. That's coming in the future, but for now you can do it like this.
Also, sorry if I sound a little bit muffled. I recorded all this when after the update came out, which was pretty late in the day, so I was pretty tired.
First things first is actually making a UI, so we're going to go down to here and we're just going to right click on the user interface and make a widget blueprint. Then inside of here we have two options, user widget or module type variant. I don't think it matters. I'm just going to use user widget for now, and I'm going to call this my UI. Then I'm going to go inside of it. Now first things first, there's going to be a new tab over here called variables, and basically in here you'll be able to add your own verse variables and make your own cool UI. Now if you don't have this tab, you can go up to window up here and you can scroll down and you can find in here variables right here, so you can find it there if you want. Now if anybody's familiar with how UEFN UI works and how or if you've watched all my other UI tutorials, you know that you'd usually use a view model from a device and then you put that into this, and then you can be able to use all the parameters from the device, like the message from a HUD message or font size or something like that, and you can turn that into different things on the widget. This is effectively that. You're now able to make your own variables. So as the example, let me grab a canvas panel and I'm just going to drag in a text block. I'm going to show you the old way and I'm going to show you how it's different. Here's a text block, and if I wanted to maybe make this text block have some functionality, I'd have to go up to window, view models, then add a view model, and I'm going to have to add a HUD messaging model wherever that is. Right here, message view model. I have to add this in, do this. There we go. Then in view bindings, I'd have to get my text block, go in here, get the text of the text block, and then go into here, and then get the text from the HUD message and do it like that. And then that'll be binded up, and I'll show the text of it. But now this is a little bit of a redundant way of doing it, because now there's a quicker way where if I just grab the text block, what I could do is now I could just go into details. And you're going to notice there's a new symbol beside everything, which is a binding icon. And you can just click on this now. I can go in my HUD message thing and I can grab my text, and when you look at that, it's instantly binded up like that. And now if I go back into view bindings, as you can see now, my stuff is all binded up and it's automatically already here. Now because of this, I'm just going to remove the binding. You can also just click on it again and remove it. Okay, let's actually talk about the variables now. So if you go over to the variables tab up here, or wherever it is on your screen, you can click up here on add, and I'll add a new property. And you're going to notice a bunch of stuff appears. This is going to be our settings for our variable. Now it's technically a variable. We can also make it a constant if you want, but I'm going to keep it a variable. But mainly you want to look at this, which will show all the different kinds of variables we can add in. So we have a logic, we have int, we have float, string, message, material, and texture. These are all the different kinds. I think there is more, but right now these are the only ones enabled for us that we can use. Like you probably imagine how cool this is. Since you can make whatever you want now, access them, or through verse, we'll be able to just make whatever we want. So for example, if I want to put my text of something inside of this text, I can just now make a message. I'm gonna make a message variable, and this is gonna be called, I don't know, my message. So I can actually make it a string. Click this little check mark, and basically that's gonna create my new string. Now if you want to edit this, you can always go through the little dots and you can change this variable however many ways you want. You can just change it around there, but I'm just going to close this. Now all these variables are actually being put into our verse asset file. If you go into our verse explorer, it's called assets digest verse. You're gonna notice that there's nothing in here. Now this is because we need to actually put our stuff in here. To actually do that, all we have to do is just compile our verse. And since we've already made our variables, they will automatically be put inside of there. We're gonna now have our my string instead of our asset file. Now we can reference this inside of verse, and we can edit my string through verse. So you can obviously see it's a variable, it has the identifier of my string, it has a type of string. And now if I go back into here, you're gonna notice if I go back into details and I go to text, you're not gonna notice now it's not actually there, because actually I need to I'm just gonna delete everything, and then I'm gonna add a new one. It's gonna be our message, my message. We're making a message. I think you actually need a message like that. There we go, my message. Then I will go into details, text block. I'm gonna look at that. My message is in here now, so I'll select that and I'll assign that to text. And there we go. So now my text has my custom my message variable. So I can go into here, I can then compile my verse, and there we go. And now my message is inside of this folder with presumably all my other variables that I'm going to make. Okay, so now you're probably wondering, how do I actually edit this message through verse and be able to change it dynamically? So how do I change this message? If you go into your verse explorer, we're just going to make a right click here, we're going to add a verse file project. And once we've done that, we're going to go make a verse device, and it'll be our my UI controller. We'll create it. Once that's made, we're going to click into it. And you're going to notice now that we have all of this. Basically, I'm just going to get rid of this, get rid of this. And really, you just kind of want to just put whatever you want in here. I'm just going to show you a quick example of how you can actually use the UI. But just before we start, we actually just need this one, this module right here using UnrealEngine.com temporary UI. Just to add that. First thing I might add is that I'm going to add an editable for a trigger device. And I'm basically just going to make it so of type trigger device equal to trigger device. So, oops. We're going to do this. This is going to be our trigger device. That's just going to basically just add the UI to our player. And then we can maybe make another trigger that's going to be our change message trigger. We'll make 2 of those. Just can make 1 and 2. And basically, we're going to have the first trigger, which is going to be our add UI one. We're going to have a change message one, and then we have a change message other one. Next, we actually want to get our widgets that we made. I think it's called my widget, I think I remember correctly, of my UI. So we're going to do a variable. This is going to be our widgets. And then this is going to be of type, and we're going to make it to a type of actual our thing. So we're going to just call it my UI. And we're going to equal that to my UI, like this. So now it's going to be equal to my actual UI that I've made earlier. If anyone's lost, that is this thing right here. This is our widget blueprint, my UI, right here. Now, let's say, for example, if I had this in a folder. So if I had like a UI folder, this is my UIs folder, had my UI in there. You're going to notice if I do that, you're going to notice there's going to be an error in verse now. We're going to do the folder path, so it'll become UIs.myUI, like this, because it's the name of the folder. That's how it works. Now, next step, actually, we need to make our messages that we're going to put into our text, if you remember correctly. So we're going to be, well, I'm just going to change through 2 messages. It's going to be my message 1, and it's going to be of type message 2, I don't know, first message. That'll do. This won't work because of this, and I think I have an error. Can do localizes. There we go. And then we'll do message 2, which is going to be our section, and then we'll do localizes. I could also just copy it. I don't know, I'm typing it out again. Second, and there we go. Now we have both our messages that we're going to be putting into our thing. Now, and on begin, we're going to set our message to something. So we're going to set to probably message 1 as default. So we'll do set and actually set our message. First, we're going to get our widget, which is, remember, this is going to be our UI up here. And then we're going to do dots, and we're going to find our actual thing we want to change. In this case, it's going to be our variable called my message. Up here. So in verse, we're going to do my message, like so. And there we go. And then we're going to set my message. We're going to set that to message 1, like that. And now our message is going to be set to message 1. Because if you do this on default, it will just show the default plain text, which I don't think it'll do so nothing or something. But this is the default UI. I don't actually know, to be honest. But if we do this, it should show our message. The next thing is that we want to actually make our triggers do something, because we have 3 of them. We have an add UI one. We have the change messages one. First, we want to do our add UI. So we'll do add UI trigger device. We want to find an event for it, so we're going to go inside of the trigger device. We want to get triggered event, so we're going to do device triggered event dot subscribe, and we're going to describe a function that we haven't actually made yet. So we're just going to call this add UI. That's going to be a function. Next thing, we're just going to copy this, paste it probably twice again, and we're just going to replace the name with this kind of trigger. I'll put it in there, and then we'll just do it like this. And then these will be called, it's going to be change message 1, and then we'll do change message 2. Now these are getting us an error because we have to make the functions. So we're going to first make our add UI function. This is going to be something like this. Since it's a trigger, look in here, this returns a question mark agent, which means it's going to be, it's an optional agent. So we're going to have to do maybe agent is equal to like this. Then inside of here, we're going to have to actually get our agent outside of that question mark. So we'll do if, since this is failable, we're going to do an if, so we can get a failure context. It's going to be our agent equal to maybe agent, like so. I'm going to do a question mark at the end. Basically, we're going inside of the agent and we're grabbing the agent out of it. And now we have our agent. If you're a bit confused here, usually you don't have to do this, but since trigger devices can be triggered by other things other than a player, basically you need to make sure that that thing that's actually triggering it, or the agent, is actually, is actually somebody. So what the agent will become the maybe agent. Next step, we want to get the player out of the agent, so we'll do if. Also, by the way, we don't actually have to write any of this like this. We can just do if you want to get fancy with it, we can do this. If do a thing like that and do like this. So agent, we do player, and then we want to find the player. So if the player is the player, it's like this. Now we have the player. Next time, we want to actually add a UI to the players. And actually do this, we're going to do get our player UI is going to be equal to get player UI, and inside of this it'll be our. So now we have our UI of our player. So now after all this, we can then do player UI dot add widget, and we're going to add the widget which is our widget there. There we go. We've now added the UI. Okay, now with all that set up, now we can actually change our UI of the player. So we can change message. This is going to be our other two functions. So we're going to do, again, it's going to be the same thing with maybe agent and everything. So it's going to grab this again. We'll do void equals. And literally all we have to do here now is just copy this line up here, and this is going to be our setting the thing. We're not actually going to be using the agent. We're just going to be doing this twice. We don't actually for any. I'll just do that. There we go. So now we change the message with these two. We'll get the UI with this one. So now if I go actually on game, we can actually test this out. So now what we're going to do is I'm just going to compile my verse. Should be fine. If we come back on drawer now, it should see our UI controller. Drag it out. So now next step, we're just going to go to our content drawer and we're going to find 3 trigger devices so we can actually hook them up into verse. And then this is going to be our, just going to add the UI, and then it's going to be our to change the message. So we're going to do our add UI trigger is this one, message 1 will be this one, and then our change message 2 will be this one. And now all we have to do is just go in the game and see if it works. All right, so let's test this out. When I load in, it shouldn't be anything on my screen. If I click on this trigger, now you can see I now have first message on my HUD, and I'm gonna guess if I walk into this, nothing's gonna change because it's already on the HUD. But if I walk into this one, it should change now to second message. So now you can see that without having to make my own verse UI, I could just dynamically change the variables through verse fields to change the text or the message. So you can probably tell that this is extremely powerful. So we've made our cool UI now, but let's actually make something cooler. Let's make a progress bar. So to make a progress bar, what we're going to do, we're going to go into our content drawer. Then in here, which is actually a new thing that Fortnite has added. If you go into the Fortnite folder, you go into, where is it, UI down here. There's a new thing for material instances, and they've added a bunch of new, or is it in here? I don't actually remember. It's in here. They added a bunch of new meters you can actually use and a bunch of pre-made stuff. What I'm going to do is I'm going to get, maybe, I'm going to try this radial meter. Why not? I'm going to right click this and I'm going to make a material instance. It's going to create a material instance inside of here. I'm just going to save it. And then I now have a material instance of that. If I go inside of it, you're going to see there's a bunch of options we can actually change inside of this progress bar. For example, inside of here, we can change the progress of the bar. We can change the normal, we can change if it's normalized, the range, maximum range. So it could be like there, change all of that if you want. I'm going to normalize it so it's going to be between 0 and 1. And you can also change how it actually looks, thickness, segments, how many segments there actually are, stuff like that. It's really useful. So we'll just save that, go out. And with this progress bar now, I'm going to make a new UI. It's going to be our progress bar UI. User interface, user widget, progress bar UI. Well, we're going to make a first variable that's going to control this thing right here. Now, instead of using a message, we're going to use something like a float because of the control the progress section of this bar. So up in here in variables, we're going to add a variable. This is going to be called our progress float. And inside of here now, instead of what we want is a float. There we go. We now have our float. Inside of here now, there's not necessarily anything we can bind this to make it actually work. What we're going to have to do is we're going to give the view bindings in here, and we'll have to do it the old-fashioned way. And we're going to add our widget image. We're going to then get a brush of the image. We're then going to get a conversion function, and we're going to set scalar parameter, and then we're going to then get a parameter name, which is going to be progress, I do believe, because that's the name of this this one right here, progress. Once we have that, then I'm going to then connect this to our new float we made, which is going to be our progress float up here. Add that in. There we go. Now this is going to be binded to our verse variable. That's all you have to do. And once that's done, we'll go out. So then we can actually make our thing. So to do this, I think it's 10 slots, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, it's 10 slots. So I'm gonna do a little mini game. Okay, I'll look at coins. So why not? Or collectible. There's gonna be our collectible objects. We'll put them in here. There we go. Now we'll do. So here's our 10 collectible objects, and you'll be able to walk into them, collect them, and it'll increase our progress bar. Okay, ignoring all of our collectibles now, we're gonna make a new verse file. This is gonna be our collectible progress manager. That'll look like that. We'll then create it, and then inside of here now, I might just copy most of this. I'm just gonna control A all of it and paste it again. There we go. And then inside of here now, we're just gonna get rid of our editables because we don't need them. Actually, I'll keep the add trigger because we're gonna need that. But we're gonna get rid of views, and then that's all fine. It's just these ones that we don't need, so we'll just get rid of them. We'll keep all of our stuff we've made for adding our widgets. We're actually have to change this to our progress bar UI like this, so we can change it to that. And then we'll change, since we don't have that variable inside of that now, we're going to change this to my progress float. And since we have progress float now, it's going to be a float, so we're just going to set it to 0. Now really, all we have to do now is we're going to make a function called, it's going to be increment. progress. And it's going to be just for the agent who picks up the collectible object. Literally, that's all. Then all we have to do now is we're just going to do set. Actually, we need to make a variable appear. We don't need our messages anymore. We're gonna make a variable called progress for bar equal that to 0. So this needs to be type float. So I forgot about that. There we go. We have our progress for bar then, and down in increment progress down here. So we're just gonna do is we're gonna do if progress for bar. So we want to make sure it's less than 1. So we'll just do less than 0.0. So if progress for bar is less than 1, we're then gonna do progress for bar. We're gonna do plus equals, which basically is gonna be adding it to itself. It's just sorry, I meant set progress for bar plus equals 1, and we'll do 1. Since there's 10 coins, and then we're gonna that 0.1 is 10%. So for each coin, it's gonna add 10% to the bar, so as long as it's not above 1. And now all we have to do now is we have to assign this in progress function to all of our different objects, 10 of them. So you can do this through tags and arrays and stuff like that. I'm just gonna make 10 of these. I don't really care. This is not the most efficient way of doing this, by the way. We know. Again, tibble or collectable. Okay, it's collectible. And then we'll do 10 of these because why not? This is the most inefficient way of doing this. Okay, so if anybody's watching this, use like tags or an array of devices. Describe the events to the array. I'm just doing this way because I'm lazy. There we go. And then basically what we're going to do is we're going to get our collectible one. We're then going to get we're going to find the events that we need, which is collected event. Get that. We're going to do collected events. And so this time we're going to do subscribe. And then in here we're going to do and there we go. And now we're just going to do this 10 times. And then we'll do 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Again, this is the most inefficient way of doing this, by the way. If I were you, don't do this, but yeah, there we go. Basically, then for every single collectible object we're gonna add to this, it's going to ink progress. Again, there's easier way of doing this. Okay, I'm just lazy today, I guess. If I were you, I would make an array of devices, and then for each device in the array, then subscribe the event. That'll be the easier way of doing it. And then I'm just going to grab our device we've made, which is my UI controller. Now we have our collectible progress manager. Again, basically, we're just going to increment our first variable called bar. Oh, and actually, that reminds me. Last thing we need to do, we're going to get our widget dot, and then essentially we're going to do progress float. That's our thing. We'll equal that to progress for bar, and it's going to update to the new updated version. We're just going to compile our verse code, and then there should be there we go, my UI controller. Then inside of here now, we should be able to add all of our stuff. I'm just going to borrow this trigger. I might just delete these. I'm going to then, it's going to be our trigger. We're going to add our UI on this trigger. And then we're just going to connect all of our collectible objects to our verse. All this. Again, you can make an array or tag. You can tag all these devices something and then use a tag or anything like that. Anything that's more efficient than what I'm doing right now. And there we go. And now that's all hooked up. So we'll just save this. And now if I go in game, you should see now that the progress bar will automatically update when I collect more and more of these coins. If I walk into this trigger now, you see the progress bar on my screen. Let's see. Now see the progress bar on my screen and it's blank because we have no progress. But I start collecting coins, you're gonna notice, which look at that, we're progressing the bar. And we'll collect all of them, and eventually we will hit the bar. And when you look at that, it worked. It worked. Now this is extremely simple, literally just using progress bar, but you can pretty much do whatever you want with this. Remember, you can also change the material, you can change the textures and everything, so you can have different textures that appear using verse. You can change the textures to verse, or just change a number through verse, and then have everything done in the UMG through bindings or something like that. Alright, so next thing I want to do is I might actually make a way you can actually change the style of the bar so it looks like different. I'm gonna make a logic, so the logic, and in here, I'm gonna call it, I don't know, is different. And this is gonna be true or false. And we can then change what the things will actually display depending on this boolean. So what we do then is we'll have this here, but we'll also have another one. We'll just get a linear bar. I think it's somewhere. There we go. And we get this linear meter. We'll want to right click it, create mutual instance, save it. Now it's going to be in our contour. We're going to click inside of it. And I might change the way it looks. Maybe make it look cooler. Color. Maybe make a green bar. Maybe change the stroke color maybe so it looks different, like this. This would basically be the exact same thing we just had. It's just going to be another bar. Now, what we're going to do next is we're going to then drag in our bar. And this is going to be our new kind of bar. And when we swap our UI, it's going to change the look of the bar. Now, I do believe you can also do this directly reverse, but through the materials, I think that is possible. But I'm just gonna use the boolean. You can do whatever. This is simple. Anyways, inside of our second image, we're gonna connect this up to the same thing. So we're gonna have a scalar parameter, connect that to progress, and we're going to connect this up to our progress float. So it's going to also have the same progress as this one. Next thing is that we want to make our visibilities for both of these different. So we want to hook up our Boolean is different to the visibilities of. So we're going to plus sign. We're going to then grab our visibility down here. Then we're in the field here. There's a corrective function we need, which is called to visibility Boolean. We'll just use that. And then inside of here, we can connect is visible up to our one called is different. And then in here now, we'll do true visibility or do visible, and if it's not true, it'll be collapsed. Now we'll do the exact same thing here for this one, visibility Boolean. Connect that to our new verse field, which is our different. And then we'll just swap this to collapsed and visible, so it's the opposite. So then when this is true, the first kind will be visible, and then when it's false, it will be the green bar. Now that should automatically work. So I'm just gonna go out, and then inside of our verse code, instead of all this, we're gonna actually add in our is different bar. I might actually add input trigger, and basically you're gonna press a button and I'll swap it. So input trigger device to input trigger device. So then once we have this now, I'm gonna basically subscribe an event to this, which is gonna be swap UI. And do trigger that. What's the thing again? It's gonna be pressed event we're looking for. So pressed event, trigger pressed event subscribe, and something called swap, like that. And then down here we're gonna make a new function called swap UI. It's gonna be for the agent. And we'll do void equals. And now inside of here now we're gonna change the value of, so we're gonna set our widget, but instead of progress float this time, it's going to do is different, and we're going to set that to true. We can actually make it so if it's true, it's going to swap to false, and if it's false, it's going to swap to true. Do that actually. So do if this is equal to true. Oh, sorry, our widget. What we do then is we can do our widget is different going to false. So we're going to set that to false. So we're going to do the opposite basically. So else we'll do set our widget is different, or set it to true. So basically, it will basically swap it when we press the trigger. We'll compile verse. And then lastly, all we need to do is we'll just go into here. We'll get our input trigger. There we go. Input trigger right in here. We can then do standard action. We have to make it jump. Jump, I think, will be good. Inside of here, then, we're going to get our input trigger. We're going to assign that to this one. And then we're just going to add register when game starts. Have that. And then we'll do jump to swap the UI. And there we go. Like, that'll do. That'll work. So next step is that we just want to push our changes, and that'll do. And now in game, if I were to start the game, if we want to click this trigger, if I jump, as you can see, when I jump, it actually swaps. So I can continue doing everything, making my progress bar go up. But if I jump, I can swap it to the other one, and it'll automatically start from where it left off. Which is, oh my god, this is so good, bro. I love this. This is so easy to do. It just works. Okay, it just works. It's so good. It's so good. Now after doing this, you can do it like this, or you can swap with a Boolean, but you can also just directly do it through materials if you want to. So I'll just use this as an example, because I want to show how Booleans work, but now I want to show you how the materials. The cool thing about this is you can actually make like your own material. So this is going to be our bar material, and this is going to be of type. I'm going to do material. I think texture mainly works the same. We'll just do material, and like that. There we go. Here's our bar material. And for now, we're just going to put in the one we made down here, which is going to be a radial meter. Put that in for now. What we want to do now is in our view bindings, instead of using the visibility, so I'm just going to get rid of the visibility. Don't actually anymore. I'm going to show you how to actually just directly change the material of one of these slots. So I'm not even going to need the other image either. I'm just going to remove one of the image. And I'm just going to work with this. What we can do is if we press plus sign, we can then do a brush. Then in here, we can make it so inside here, we'll do a conversion function. And then what we want is we'll make brush from soft material. Do that. And then in here, then our material will get so it is our bar material. Now our width and height, we can actually make two more things for our width and height if we want. So what we can do is we can make a variable for this would be our image width. Then we can do maybe well, there we go. Then hook those into there. So this would be your width. This would be like that. There we go. Now I did try to do this with what was it? Make image brush from material, but it wasn't really working that well. So I'm just gonna do it like this. Now since these are reverse variables, we'll be able to just control them inside verse. So now we have our bar material. We also have our image and width. Next step is we're just going to compile this, save it, go out of it, and then what we're going to do is we're just going to change our progress bar through verse. So we're going to use the same exact UI we already used, but this time we're going to actually make two variables. So we'll do, this will be our material one, and it's going to be of type. We'll do Control C on the name. We'll just place it in here. Again, it'll be like DOS like before, but we're just gonna copy the name and do like that, so we'll have the right material we need. And then we'll do another material, material 2, and this is gonna be our linear bar. So our linear bar will be this one, so we'll press F2, Control C here, and there we go. We have now our 2 materials in verse. And also, if you're wondering where these actually are, again, they're gonna be in your asset digest. So we can see you have our linear meter in here, and we also have our, scroll down, we have our radial meter, and also all of our different variables. Instead of setting that there is different thing, I'm going to set the material, so it's going to be our bar material, and we're going to set that equal to material 1. Oh, sorry, I'm stupid. I put these inside of again. They shouldn't be inside they should be up here, pressed like up here. And then that should now work. There we go. So now we're setting our bar material to material 1. We can also then set our widget. We set our widget, what's it called again? Our image width, image height, set it to 256 because it int. That's gonna fail because I just forgot to compile. And then we'll do set our image height here. So now we have our pineapple one. It'll look like that. I don't know how actually big it's gonna look on this. We'll see how that goes. But else we're also then gonna just swap it to the other kind. So we're just gonna copy and paste it again. We're gonna get our bar material, but this time it's gonna be material 2, and this one's gonna be a bit bigger. So kind of want to look like a rectangle instead of a square, because this is a square. So I'm gonna do for height, I'll do 128, so it's half, and then for the width, I want to make it really long, so I'm gonna do 512. Now set that. So now we're setting all this differently. It was kind of cool. Also, I just realized these are the same. I'll press F2, Control C, and instead of the radial one, I want the linear. There we go. That's good because this is a big bar. That's the bar, and that's the pineapple. All right, so hopefully this should now work, and we should be able to just swap the thing. I don't know about the dimensions. We'll see how the dimensions go. Like that looks fine. All right. And if I jump, things it swaps. It already worked once. I don't know why it's not working again. Okay, so let me just go through it. If it's true, it is that, and if it's not true, so okay, because it's looking for is different, isn't it? So it's still looking for the thing. What I might do is I think I have to do set. I'll have to do it opposite. So for this, so you'll do. If I include that, then it should actually work. So if I jump, it should now swap. Pretty cool. So if I do boom, 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 it should now have the progress. So I'm swapping the material itself rather than using binding in the UMG, which is kind of cool. Basically, that's it for the video. And you can probably imagine all the different stuff you can do with this. It's one of the biggest innovations when it comes to UI and UEFN. It might not seem like a lot, but it is. It just makes ease of access to making custom UI that you can use through Verse. Just so much easier, bro. It's so much easier. So I hope you enjoyed the video. There's just a ton of stuff you can do with this. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video. Remember to like, subscribe, use my code in Photoshop. Thank all the members of the channel. Remember to watch all these videos for more of my content. That's about it. I'll see you all around.